It's all good. It's all good. I appreciate you taking time to stop by. I know you got to make some moves, so we're gonna get right into it. It's definitely an honor. You've been putting in some major work for a long time, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about, your experiences in the industry.
Hey, yeah, I've been at this for a minute. You
Yes,
know,
indeed.
where you want me to start?
Well, it seemed like you do a lot of stuff behind the scenes. So for the viewers who may not recognize you, you can just let them know what your name is and definitely where you from.
I'm Leo Lawrence. I'm from Oakland, California. I started out in the business as a stand-up comic. A lot of people know me as that over the years, but I guess my first big break was when they hired me on In Living Color as a writer, and from there, I went and started writing on sitcoms, hanging with Mr. Cooper, Jamie Foxx Show, back in the day. And currently, I'm one of the writers on The Proud Family on Disney Plus. We rebooted it in 2020, and hopefully, we're gonna keep going with that. But I'm trying to keep things going, pitching shows. Working on some stuff now that hopefully get picked up. But it's a grind. It's television. Movies. I rewrote some of the House Party movies back in the day. Rewrite, not writing the original version, but rewrite. Money, get paid. you know.
Man,
So anyway, so what's up with you?
man, I'm just chilling. That's what's up, man. You done worked on some iconic TV shows and movies and cartoons. You know what I'm saying? People just dream about, being able to do one of those things, and it seems like you just connected with some of the best. But big shout out to Oakland, man. Some of the most revolutionary and creative minds on earth, come from up out of there. Pac, the Black Panthers. I had Lenny Williams on the show. I had Souls and Mischiefs on my show. So I love Oakland.
Oh yeah, man. Growing up in Oakland was for me. It was a trip. I lived where I lived on my aunt street in Oakland on the same block was Tower Power, Carlos Santana, and the Pointer Sisters on the same block. But in my neighborhood, I used to listen to Sly and the Family Stone practice after school. We would be getting off the bus and we could walk right past their house and listen to Sly and the Family Stone practicing in the backyard. All that. I had cousins that were Panthers. Yeah, it was definitely a cool place to grow up. I lived in between the Hells Angels and the Black Panthers, right in the middle, and they never had any beefs at all. Never. You never heard about any, no beefs with the Panthers and the Hells Angels, at all.
That's
A lot of people,
crazy, though.
a lot of people probably think that there was, but I literally lived in the middle and going to school. I passed Hell's Angels headquarters. It'd be like 50 to 100 motorcycles lined up in front of this one house. Sonny Barker, I think his name, Barger or something. But yeah, that was Oakland back in them days. But yeah, I'm still here, still, pushing, trying to get new content on TV. And, I got to tell you, Hollywood's changing. It's not the same. Streaming is different. The way they distribute their money is different. What they're looking for, because the younger generation, their attention span isn't as long. So they like everything on their phone in 25-second snips. They're looking at, there's no more that, let's go, it's 8 o'clock, Cosby's coming on, we got to be at home at 8. They don't do that. They want to see it now on their phone, and they don't want to sit there all day. So a lot of stuff is changing towards, that. So we just have to see. People aren't going to the theaters like they used to movie theaters anymore like they used to, because they can stream it at home. I think pretty soon they're just going to Instead of having movies come out in theaters, it's going to come out in theaters and at home.
Yeah.
Makes sense because I don't think that people are rushing out to the theaters just because it says in theaters only. I don't. I think they go, okay, well, we just have to wait till it come home. You know, so
Hmm.
all that's changing. So the game's changing for people like me, writer producers. It's changing. And we got to roll with the changes.
Yeah, yeah, you made a strong point. The movie theater might be like the drive-in. I don't even know if people still go to the drive-in, do they?
I haven't seen one in a while. I used to go to drive-in about 4 years ago. Is one here in LA that we used to go to. Yeah, but they wasn't showing current movies. They were showing older movies. You know, we just went because it was a drive-in. You know, but yeah,
Yeah.
landscape's definitely changing. What city are you in?
I'm currently in Nashville, but I'm from Cleveland.
You from Cleveland?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yep, yep. Now you had mentioned,
Arsenio from Cleveland.
yeah, yeah, definitely. There quite a few people from Cleveland, man. Believe it or not. Yep.
Arsenio, that's my boy.
Big shout out to Arsenio because Arsenio graduated from the high school where my brothers went. So like when the Arsenio Hall show was coming on, they would have basketball games, and like schools that have pictures of famous people that graduated from there. And I'm a kid, and I'm like Arsenio on TV. He on the picture on the wall. I'm thinking he gonna walk into school. He in Hollywood somewhere. That's one of my childhood memories.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. He kind of helped me get my foot in the door when I first got here as a comedian. So yeah. But I ain't seen him in a minute.
Yeah, big shout out to Arsenio for sure. Now I wanted to ask you a little bit more about the AI, the social media, and Tubi. Like you say, it's changing so fast, and it's to the point where like you gotta be tapped in, or you're gonna miss out. Has it been a difficult transition for you, or has it been more efficient, like in terms of getting work put out or getting people interested, or has it been about the same in terms of business?
It hasn't changed for me. Nothing really changed for me because I'm pretty basic. Write scripts, pitch shows. If the shows get picked up or I get hired on a show, go write on it. Write episodes for it. But AI hasn't quite interfered with my end of it yet, but I have a strange feeling that it will as it gets better and better, that it's going to, you know. But hey, man, everything changes, and you got to stick and move with the changes and hope that you're in the right place when it changes and you make the right moves when it changes. People that stick with the old way, they probably get left behind by the people that, are willing to, risk it and go for the new stuff that's out there. And that's kind of what's cool about being a writer because it doesn't matter how old I get. Nobody cares how old I am. They care what they read on the page. So as long as I stay current, I could be 90. As long as what I'm writing doesn't have a bunch of 90-year-old references in it, stay current. That's what I say. That if I have any advice to any writers, it's like stay current. Always be current. You know, your
Yeah.
writing is way better when you know what's out there. You got to know. I might not listen to Billie Eilish, but I know who she is. You know what I mean? That's kind of the way I think. I might not know some of these people, but I know who they are. I might not watch them or listen or might not be a fan, but I know who they are. So if they're mentioned or I need to put them in a script or write about them, I know who it is. You know what I mean? So that's really important as a writer.
Yeah, you dropping some of that Oakland game because I never thought about it like that, man. That's amazing and that's inspiring, for the viewers who really trying to, tap in. Now I can ask you. You mentioned doing some work on House Party. How did you even get connected with that project? And
I had an
did you get
agent,
okay?
my agent called me up and said a producer, he's passed away now. His name was Carl Craig. And Carl Craig called me and wanted me to do rewrites on the House Party movies. And on number three, on the third one. And I said, heck yeah, I'll do it. They're paying real money, So yeah, that was a long time ago. Now I think of it, it was like 90 something. It was a long time ago. But that's where I became friends with Kid from Kid and Play, and I just pitched a series for Kid and Play not too long ago that I'm trying to get put on about them, uh, where they are now in life. It's like if you took the old show The Odd Couple and put Kid and Play in it, and they're in their 60s, and they had kids and ex-wives and their life after all that stardom when they were in their 30s. Like Play is a teacher. He teaches at colleges, Black history. I mean, hip hop 101, stuff like that at Black schools. Kid is still out here doing. Wait, hold on a second. Kid is out here, still pursuing. He's doing stand up actually. Kid was doing stand up, and I want to do a show about them now. So I stay in touch a little bit. But
Yeah,
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 we
definitely.
never know. We never know what somebody want to see.
No, no, we definitely want to see that. I mean, I feel like they wanted a more underappreciated duos in hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Not only for their music, but the fashion, the dancing, the movie. Like, if you take Kid and Play out the game, like you take away House Party, Class Act, so much more than a lot
Mhm.
of other people contributed and still contributing.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so what do you do with your show? With your show that you when you talk to us, what do you just put it up on a website or what?
Okay, well, I usually upload the full episode on YouTube and then I'll like break it up into parts. Then I'll put a couple pieces on social media like the
Mhm.
Facebook, the Instagram, the TikTok. Try to just reel in more people because some people want the long version and some people just want to see it, like you say, a couple seconds or a minute and a half. So I hit them off like that and then they can subscribe and follow and share, you know.
Mhm. Okay.
Let me see. I got a couple more questions for you. Now, how did you initially end up going to LA? Was it strictly for doing your comedy and writing thing, or was it another reason? And what was your first like project that you kind of got into?
Yeah, I came here. I was on the road doing stand up. So I came out here because of that. And when I got here, I went to this taping of this show called Cheers. It was an old show, Cheers. And I was like, what does that dude do down there? What do they do? And I found, oh, they're writers. They work on the show. And I said, oh, I can write. I've always been good at creative writing, and then that's how I really picked up on it. I saw that what they were doing. And when I saw what the Writers Guild was paying for these writers to do that, I was like, oh, shoot, I'll do this in a minute. I'll do that. I don't have to be on the road. You froze my side. Okay, there.
You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I
It
mean,
froze.
that's cool. But you would be able to just pick up on it like that, had that natural ability. But like you say, you was already doing stand up. That's a very, very iconic television show. Some people favorite television show. You see so many of some of the best comedians on earth was a part of that show. How do you get connected with that? And what was it like working with that cast? Did you actually like work with them or did you just kind of write
Yeah,
something and then you don't see it till it
Yeah, I
comes on
was told
TV.
I saw Keenan Ivory Wayans and Damon and them knew me from doing stand up because we was all comics back in them days. And I just saw Keenan at a club one night and said, "Hey man, I want to come on and live in color as a writer." And he said, "Have your agent send over some writing samples and we'll take a look at it." I didn't have no agent and I didn't have no writing samples. So that weekend, I saw him on Friday. By Monday, I had the writing samples. Then I looked and found the agent, and the agent sent them over, and I got hired about 2 weeks later. It was like unbelievable how easy that was because it's not been that easy ever since. That was 35 years ago. You know what I mean?
Wow. I mean, but you was thinking quick and you was on your toes and you was hungry, man, because
I
somebody
was,
else would have
definitely,
fumbled, you know.
I was definitely hungry back then, boy. But
Man,
yeah, so but no, it was cool working with them. It's a good show to start off on as a writer because you're thrown into the fire. You got to come up with. We had to come up with 15 sketch ideas every Monday, and it was like 8 or 9 writers. So we had to go through all of those sketches one by one and read them, and then he whittled them down. Then we get the actors in there. Then now they're reading the sketches that we whittled down to 50 or whatever it was, and then he whittled those down till we did the 6 or 7 that they would tape for each week. So it was a weekly grind, but you had to keep coming up with stuff, keep coming up with them, you know. But it was a grind. I don't sketch comedy shows are not my favorite. Sitcoms are much better, and now these streaming shows I like even more. You know, I like them even more because they're they're not as jokey. You know, sitcoms are joke, joke, joke all the way through. Joke line, joke line. These shows that are out there now might be funny, but it's more story and more character development. It's much. It's more realistic to me. You know, I mean, everything has its time. Back in the day, that sitcoms was the thing. You know, that's why I don't think Saturday Night Live is hitting as hard as it used to because I just think the times are changing and people's comedic taste is different now. So the way we were doing Saturday Night Live and then Living Color and Mad TV, those kind of shows, I don't think they play as well now as they used to. Because people are changing, the what people like are changing, you know.
wow,
So
wow. I appreciate you sharing that. I mean, it's almost like a hit factory, like how Barry Gordy and Motown was. That's the way I'm visualizing it, but with a comedy twist, and it make a lot of sense because you had to feed these giants. You got Tommy Davis and David Allen Greer. You got Jim Carrey, the Wayans family. So they
mm,
want some, something good to put out there for the people. And you was a part of, making history. Now I can ask you this. I don't know if you could speak on it. Is it any sketches that you may remember that you was a part of? Any in particular?
that was a long ass time ago. I could think of something that didn't make it that I wish would have. But no, see, it's a collaborative effort. When we get to the ones that we're going to tape, the sketches are on the table and everybody is pitching in. You got to be a joke machine when you're on those kind of shows. You got to, so there's no way I can sit here and say, yeah, I wrote that joke. I ain't gonna remember that. That was a long time ago. I might want to take credit if somebody said, "Oh, you was on Living Color. You used to write Homie the Clown, huh?" Yep, sure did. I can't remember what I did on Homie the Clown. I remember being in the room when I was doing it, but I can't take credit for any of it, to tell you the truth.
Right, right. But I appreciate you, keeping it real because as a fan or a consumer, we just get the 5 minute sketch or the 3 minute sketch, not knowing like this is a team effort. We see the
Yeah, it's
star,
a
we see
bunch
the
of people.
main person.
It's a
Yeah,
bunch of people in the writers' room, and then when the actors get a hold of it, it changes again. and they put that last fire in it that makes it what it is. You know, we might write some funny stuff, but when Damon gets that and starts doing Homie, or when him and David Allen Greer was doing Men on Films, you can't write that. That's them, you know, doing that. That's them. You know, I think that Damon and David Allen Greer could have made anything funny. Give them a script. They gonna make it funny. So yeah, it's collaborative. You know, it's a lot of people involved in making a show like that. Same with Saturday Night Live. Those they might have had some good writers, but those actors make it funny. You know, Eddie Murphy made it funny. It was no scripts given to Eddie Murphy that were just hilarious before he got it. He made it hilarious. You know what I mean? He made it that. You know, so.
Yeah,
But
that's
we'll
right.
take credit if they want to give it to us.
Yeah, I can dig it. I can dig it. But like I say, it's good to just hear, so much about that show, because it was so great. Now I can ask you this: you had mentioned like comedic taste, people change, and the time of living color, it seemed like it was no whole bars. They would go after anybody just to make people laugh. And now it's kind of like a cancel culture thing where it's like you can't really say too much of anything. What's your perspective on that? Should an artist, whether it be music or comedy, should they be able to express themselves in any way they want, or should it be certain things where we say we're not gonna make a joke about that, or we're not gonna make a rap song about that?
No, I think that media. It's freedom of speech. And what makes things great is people's viewpoints and ideas. And if they try to stifle that, you stifle in art, you stifle in creativity. I think people are real sensitive about stuff, that they shouldn't. I think that when you heard the meek shall inherit the earth, the meek is inheriting the earth. The meek are the ones that are so sensitive. Where when the world first began, it was survival of the fittest. It was who's the strongest. That's who was leading you. The people that were the strongest. Now there was like the meek shall inherit it, and you see that with all the different, cancel culture, and you can't say this, and if you think about it, who are the people saying those things? Who are they? And that's what's happening. It's like things that we could say and do 20 years ago, you couldn't. I used to do bits that were about race, and when I was doing them, nobody thought of it as racism. But if I tried to do those same jokes now, it's racism. Before it wasn't racism, it was observational humor. It was something I observed. If I made a joke about I was in East LA the other day, drove through this Mexican neighborhood, them cats had 5, 10 cars on blocks in their front yard. What are the Mexicans doing with all these cars on the front yard? Trying to sell me oranges on the freeway. Now, if you go to East LA, that's exactly what you're going to see. You know what I'm saying? It's not like we making it up to hurt somebody's feelings. Back in them days, not so much now, the oranges on the freeway, but back in the day, they were selling oranges on freeway on ramps. For real. And so if you can't say that, you can't mention that that's what you see, that's your experience, that's what's really happening. You say it now, the things that are real, that are true, and it's bad. You can't say it. That part I don't like. I feel like if you're speaking the truth, you should be able to say whatever you want, as long as it's true. You
Right,
know,
right. Like you say, long as it's true, that's definitely a big factor. Now I wanted to ask you about a couple shows you got a chance to work on. We got about 4 or 5 minutes left. Now what was it like? You got to connect with Jamie Foxx on the Jamie Foxx show?
Yeah, his manager Marcus King, who you should get on this show. I'm gonna give you his number so you can call him. Call Marcus King from Oakland. Wanted me to come on and write an episode. It was Jamie's manager, and he was one of the executive producers on the Jamie Foxx Show. And so he got me up there to write one of the episodes. My particular episode, you can go on YouTube and see it. It's called West Side Connection. It's with Ice Cube, Mac 10, and Dub C was in the hotel, and they put a hole in the wall, called it the presidential suite, had a party. I wrote that episode for them, But yeah, I wrote it because I knew Marcus, and I knew Jamie from doing stand-up. So I already, stand-up, everything leads back to stand-up. Everything leads back to stand-up. People know me, have known me for years, just know me from doing stand-up. I went to DL Hughley's does this comedy room in Pasadena, and I met DL Hughley 30 something years ago doing stand-up, and I went in there. I've seen him since then because I wrote on the Hughley's, his sitcom. I was on that for a minute. I've seen him, but we sat and talked. I said, man, we've known each other a long ass time, man, long time. He said, yeah, I know I let you come in there free, but next time you walk in the door, you getting on the stage. I said, oh, okay. Yeah, okay. If I get on stage, it's to say happy birthday to you. That's about it. I ain't telling no jokes no more.
Wow, man, that's amazing because that gotta be, if not the funniest episode, it's in the top 5. The one with the West Side Connection.
It's the number one. It's the number one.
Yeah, that's the first one that popped in my head. That was crazy. You did your thing on that one, man.
And I wrote this one, Hanging with Mr. Cooper, where Mark Curry played for the Warriors, and he's playing against Charles Barkley. Remember that? We actually shot it at a Warriors game in Oakland, and all he had to do was hit one jumper. It took him 30 shots to hit one jumper, so by the time he made it, the audience really was screaming.
Man, big shout out to Mr. Cooper for sure. But yeah, if you could connect me with Marcus, that'd be, man, I appreciate that.
I'll give you his email.
Oh yeah, that'd be
I'll
cool.
tell him. Matter of fact, I'll just forward the email from you to him, and he'll see it, and you can go from there. He loves to talk, so let him give you some Jamie Foxx stories about being Jamie Foxx's manager. He got plenty of them. So, but yeah, man.
Let me see. I wanted to ask you about one more show, if you got a second. The Proud Family, man, that's definitely an iconic show. They done brought it back, like you say. I got a chance to chop it up with Tommy Davidson on the show, but I want to, hear from you and your perspective by you, writing and being behind the scenes. What is it like?
Well, it's been a great experience for me because I got to write with, one of the guys who I look up to in the writing business, Ralph Farquhar, who has been writing put it like this, he was on Happy Days, so he's been doing it a long ass time, and I got to learn. I learned from him. I already thought I knew everything, but when I got on Proud Family, I learned something else that I feel has taken my game up just from working with Ralph, But yeah, it's cool working on the Proud Family. All the actors that could. Tommy Davidson is on Proud Family. Cedric the Entertainer, my frat brother, on the Proud Family. Who else did you guys would know? Kyla Pratt, But we've had so many guest stars on there. I can't even think of all the people we've had on there on the show. You think of, I mean, over the last 5 years, a whole bunch of famous people. You know, Magic Johnson's son EJ is on the show, who happens to be one of my favorite actors on it because he never messes up. He's always good. When EJ gets in there, he puts it down. Um,
That's what's up.
yeah, so, but yeah, it's a great experience being at Disney. Is a good experience. Just being around that and being able to, if I have a show idea, being able to actually call a studio executive that can, move things forward. I can just call them up, email them, and they'll take my call, my emails, respond. That's half the battle in Hollywood right there, because there's plenty of people trying to do things in Hollywood, and they don't know how to get it to the people that can make it happen. And I had an overall deal with them where they're paying me to give them ideas and come up with stuff. That's great. You know what I'm saying? It's like all I gotta do, I just gotta come up with stuff, you know? So, but yeah, that's a good experience, Proud Family. And we're doing a Christmas special now. We wrote it like 2 years ago, but we're doing it. It's called stop animation, whatever it's called. It's like, remember in the back of the, you might be too young to know this, when they had that Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer Christmas specials, when it was like, looked like little clay puppets. That's what it's called, claymation, I think. You're muted. And so, yeah, we're doing a Proud Family Christmas special in claymation. And so we've been recording people last month or two for that. It won't be out this Christmas. It'll be out next Christmas.
Wow, I look forward to that. That'll be dope. You're gonna have it with the clay hookup.
Yeah, we're trying to get. Hopefully, we're waiting to get Proud Family picked up for another season. That's what we're waiting on now.
They definitely gonna pick it back up for sure.
I think it should. I mean, our ratings are good. We win a lot of awards. It's one of the most successful shows Disney's ever had.
Gotta be
television wise. So I don't know why it wouldn't, but you never know. A lot of things, when it's Disney, it's political. It's like they changed their mind on a lot of stuff because of what the president or the CEO of Disney was having a beef with the governor of Florida over some stuff that was happening with Disney World. And then, so now Disney changes and we can't talk about this, we can't talk about that because politically it doesn't look good. It's not just cut and dry. It's a lot of stuff that we don't know about that could happen, but it's like that at every studio probably, but at Disney is probably more prevalent because it's Disney.
Yeah. I can see that.
So
but yeah, it's definitely been an honor. I appreciate you coming through, King. Now for the viewers, I don't know, do you have like a website or social media, anything like that?
I don't have a website, and I'm very rarely on social media. Very rarely.
So it'd be better for them to just stay in tune with everything you dropping, man. I know you got some bombs.
Yeah, So, but anyway, thanks for looking me up, man.
No, it's an honor, man.
If I would have remembered, I had something better on, I would have been ready. Man. I looked at my email and I saw your email said I'm on. I was like, oh, dang, I forgot. And I came straight to it. I forgot.
I know how it be sometimes, so I appreciate it, man. But I'm going to edit this one up. So today, Thursday, maybe I'll put it out Sunday because I know everybody going to be making it's the holiday. So, weekend. So I'm going to see probably Sunday.
Okay.
All right, then. But yeah, don't forget, holler at your boy for me.
All right. I will. I'm gonna send you the email right now.
Okay.
And just hit him like you hit me.
Will do.
Send him the link so he can look at the clips and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He'll respond to you.
Okay, then. Take care and be safe out there.
All right, man. You too.